sailor? What shall we do with the drunken sailor? What shall we do with the drunken sailor early in the morning?
I'm here in my wife's office. Susan has a little business that she runs on the side, selling her felt bird and felt critter patterns and kits. And last year, you may have watched a video where I built this production desk that you see here. It was designed specifically according to my wife's specifications for what she needed for handy storage, everything in the right place, so she could put together her kits, and all the felt could be cut to the proper size and all the various parts and components. The business has been growing in leaps and bounds. The orders are coming in every day, much greater than expected. And so since we expanded and built this production desk, my wife has determined we need much more storage. So I've put together a design, again according to my wife's specifications, for a number of shelves to hold some storage bins. There's a small shelf right here that holds bins. It's these little plastic bins right here. And so the design is patterned something like this type of a framework. The shelves will be spaced apart so that the bins that hold the various felt bird kits will fit perfectly, and she has enough room to dig in there with her hands to find out what's needed. These are the various kits, and the kits come with, well, everything you need to make one of these stuffed felt birds or critters. And this is where they are now. They have a bunch of bins scattered all over the place. In fact, these are the bins right here. These are the bins that'll be used. You can see they're all stacked. They're going to go on the new shelf system. I'm coming over to my plywood rack here, plywood storage rack, and I want to see what I have. I think I have some scraps. Yep, right here. Yep, I've got some. There's a couple of scraps there. I think they're going to work just fine. What I need is 6 lengths of 1/2 inch plywood, 2.5 inches wide, and they have to be 4 feet 9 inches long, and I've got plenty right there. There's a couple of scraps there. Those are both 8 feet long, and they're plenty wide enough to get the 6 strips that I need from it. There's an 8-foot long piece right there, a 3/4 inch, and I think that's going to make most of the shelves I need, and I have a few other smaller pieces. I think I have just enough to make the shelves, so I'm going to have enough material. Well, as you can see, I have all the parts cut out and I'm ready to begin assembly. And the assembly table actually features a torsion box top, and it's on casters, so you can move it around, and it's adjustable. You can adjust the height and the angle of the top. So in order to match your table saw, if you're going to use it as an out-feed table. So it has multiple purposes, and I'll include a link in the video description below if you want to build one for yourself. So I'm about to get started on building this shelf storage system. Before I can begin the actual assembly of the side panels, first of all I have to take all of these spacers that I have here, and using a Kreg jig I have to put 2 pocket holes on each end of each spacer, and I have a total of 6 of them here, and I'm working right off the same plans that I will make available for download, free plans that you can download if you want to make one. And these have dimensions in both imperial and metric. I'm using imperial dimensions myself. And I'm going to take this, I have this Kreg hole jig. This is the Kreg, I think it's called the R3. I don't know if this is still available or not. I think they may have come out with a newer version of this. Call it something else. And I'm using a plug-in type power drill rather than battery operated for the pocket holes, using the pocket hole drill because it has a lot more power. I have a lot of them to do. There's no sense in wearing out a battery. This will last without having to stop and wait for the battery to recharge. And the pocket hole guide, it just guides the drill at the proper angle. And then this happens to be a Kreg product, and Kreg also makes screws of the proper length for the proper thickness of material. This is 1/2 inch material, and so these are 1 inch screws. So when the jig comes off, I have a pocket hole, and now the screw will fit in like this, and when I go to put the material together, it'll screw into the edge of the material. Very easy. You don't have to use this Kreg brand. This is just a brand name, Kreg, but there are other companies that put out these pocket hole jigs, and some are more expensive, some are about the same price, some are even cheaper. You don't have to use pocket screws, it's just the way that I choose to join these. Okay, with all the pocket holes drilled, and I have screws in pocket holes ready to go, there are 2 side panels. Each side panel has about 5 components. It has 2 vertical sections and 3 cross sections. I have little pencil marks indicating where they go. I'm going to use a little bit of glue. It's not really necessary, but it gives a little backup, makes the panel a little stiffer. And when I have completed assembling this side panel, I'm going to bring it inside where the glue can cure and set up, because right now it's about 34 degrees Fahrenheit here in the shop, which is about 1 degree Celsius, and it's a little too cold for glue to set up. And I'm only doing a little bit of work at a time because my hands get really cold. So as soon as my hands get a little too cold, or I don't have much feeling in them, and my feet start to get cold on the concrete floor, I go inside for a little while to warm up. So I'm only doing this a little bit at a time. So we'll get the gluing operation done, which won't take me very long. And this is, if you're using pocket holes, you can really skip this step. You don't really have to do this. But I like the benefit of having the glue on there in addition to the screws. It's just a personal choice, how I like to do things. But it's a fairly easy and straightforward assembly. So what I'm going to do now is I'm going to bring this out. And this is where all these go roughly. And now I just want to get everything positioned where it's supposed to go. proper location. So now I'm going to go get a couple of clamps, and that'll help hold it together, because with the glue on it, it wants to squirm around when I'm putting the screws in. Okay, this is how I have it clamped, just to hold everything in position, to keep it from moving around. And I'll do the first one, the rest of them will follow suit. I won't waste your time having the video camera on for that. So the bit I have in the screwdriver is a square drive bit, and it matches these pocket screws by Kreg. This is a Kreg tool right here. It comes as part of the jig kit. And I'm just going to run them in. And you don't have to run them in too hard. Just nice and easy does it. You just want to get it started. I have to use my shorter bit, I think. That clamp is in the way, but let's get each side going. That's all there is to it, just running these screws in with the pocket hole driver. That's good. Take this clamp off now, and it won't be in the way. Once I have them started, I'll be good. Okay, so this end is secure. That's good. Now I'll just do the rest of them, and this panel is complete. Okay, so here it is. The first side panel is complete. This is all there is to it. Pretty easy. Okay, I now have two panels ready to go inside, so the glue can set up and cure. And when I come back out with these, I should be able to start assembling the rack. Originally, in the plans, it'll show that the plans are just one-piece plywood shelves, but I didn't have enough in my scraps to make 5 shelves. But if I took the scraps I had and I ripped them down and I make them into panels similar to these side panels, I then have enough wood to make up the shelves that I need without having to cut into a fresh sheet of plywood. So that's what I'll be doing next while I'm waiting for the glue to dry on the side panels. For the shelves, I'm using 3/4 inch plywood, and that requires a longer Kreg screw. Instead of the 1 inch Kreg screws, I'm using these 1 1/4 inch long Kreg screws, because I'm still doing the pocket holes. So what I had to do to use the longer screws is I had to readjust this stop washer or stop collar on the special pocket hole drill, and there's a gauge that comes in the box with the kit, and you just use the gauge to place that stop collar in the proper place. I also had to readjust this jig. These little arms slide out. They can come out, they can go in. There's a little gauge on the back. You can't see it on the camera, but it's graduated to different sizes. So if you use 3/4 inch material, you line up the little marks with the 3/4 inch mark, which is what I have done right now. It's all ready to go. So just like the side panels, it's going to be the same thing. What I'm doing is, because again I didn't have enough material to do solid shelves, I'm doing shelves like this. I just ripped a bunch of strips and I'm leaving a little bit of a gap. Have some cross pieces just like the side panels, it's just smaller. This is 12 inches wide, 24 inch. Well, I should say the depth is 12 inches, the width is 24, 3/4 inches thick. It has 3 cross pieces, 2 longitudinal strips, And it's now a matter of just putting pocket screws in each cross section like this. It goes together exactly like the side panels. You get the idea. This, I have to change this drill bit. This one's kind of dull. I have 5 shelves to make, and they're all going to be exactly like this one. So there's number 1, and then I'll only have 4 more to go after that. Same procedure as the side panel. I have all the cross pieces already drilled with pocket holes, except they're for the longer screws, for the thicker material, as I mentioned before. I'm just going to throw a little glue on there for good measure. Makes me feel better. Same thing as the side panels. Just run these screws in, but take it easy on them because you don't want things to slide around on you. Pocket hole screws, the parts will move around, especially with glue on them. And so just getting them started, take your time. And once it has a good grip, then everything will fit fine. Okay, another shelf completed. First shelf completed. This is the first shelf, and what I'll do is when I assemble the rack, this will be the top part, so you won't see the pocket holes underneath. Now they do make dowels that are pre-cut with an angle and everything that slip right in there with a little glue when you're doing finished furniture. But this is a production type thing. It's for commercial use. It's not going to be seen by the public. And you won't see those anyway. Just put that on the bottom. You have a nice smooth surface. There's one shelf ready to go. And today it's colder than it was yesterday. Today is December 8th, 2020, Tuesday. The temperature is below freezing. And freezing is 32 degrees Fahrenheit or 0 degrees Celsius. Just a couple of degrees below that. And here's one of the shelves. As you can see, I have these side panels located on these corner jigs, if you want to call them that. These happen to be made by Rockler, and you can use any brand, it doesn't matter. And there are different ways to clamp it up. So use whatever you like. So what I'm doing is I am locating these jigs in such a way that I can take the shelves, and I can do this on every single one of them, not just this one. I'll locate the shelf, and it can sit in the jig so that it'll hold it nice and square once it's in place and I have everything adjusted. It'll hold it in place exactly where I want it, and I can tighten these up. I already have marks made where I want it. It'll be nice and square, and I can go ahead and I can drill and countersink for the screws and then put the screws in, and it'll be secure, and I can do this for every shelf all the way down. Now that I've finished putting the basic structure together, that is joining all the shelves with the side panels, I went and I checked it for square simply by taking 2 diagonal measurements. And I've got 62¼ inches. And I check it this way. Should be the same. And I have 62¼ inches, so it's right on the money. It's perfect. Now if it was slightly out, maybe a 1/16 of an inch, that wouldn't bother me, that'd be fine, but it's exactly. I don't have to do anything to try to make it square. It's already square. And although this is light duty, I don't want it to do any racking. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to apply maybe 3 more pieces. I'm going to put one piece going across here at the top, and this is the back side. Doesn't matter, just either side can be the back side or the front side. I'll put a horizontal piece across here, and it'll be screwed not only in the side panels but also across the shelf. And then there'll be a couple of vertical straight thin ones that go all the way down on each side, and they'll be joined at the side panel and at each shelf, and that'll keep it from having any tendency to rack, even though this won't see any heavy stuff on it, but I'll do it anyway, and that'll make it a little bit more sturdy. I haven't used any glue on this where it's below freezing. I just didn't want to deal with it. It doesn't really need the glue anyway, and it's very solid. I'm just going to tack this into place for now. And then I'll follow up with doing some drilling, countersinking, and putting some screws in. And I'll just hold it there for the time being so it's in position. That's the top cross piece. I have these vertical pieces. This is the back side of the unit. Same thing, I'm just going to tack it into place for now with some brads, and then I'm going to come back and put in some screws. So here's the finished product, or almost finished. We're not going to bother to paint or stain it right now. It had to go right into production because right now it's the height of the season and business is brisk, and my wife needed this storage space so she could put her kits together without having a lot of clutter. So this is working out. I think it's going to fit the bill. So there will be free plans available, and you'll find them in the video description below.